Moving on, it's now time to look at the best practice for managing your footage. Now, if you remember just a couple of chapters ago, what we did is we placed all these videos into a folder and dragged in the folder. We're just going to develop on that idea a little bit, and this is again something that you're going to need to do in your system, but once it's done, you can use this for every single project you do, and that is a folder template. Now, what do I mean by a folder template? Well, in my assets folder within my computer, I have a folder template which I've actually saved as Z folder template. That means that it's always at the bottom, Z, because I'm in alphabetical order. If I double click into here, this is my folder template, and although there are 6 folders right here, there's nothing in them other than other folders. Why? Okay, so let me just look at this. If we grab that and drag it into here, just like we did with the videos, watch what happens. Nothing. Why is that? Because these are empty other than other folders. And what Premiere Pro won't do is it won't drag in, or it won't import a folder that has nothing in it. And obviously within a folder, if it's just another empty folder, it won't drag anything, it won't import anything in that doesn't contain some form of media. So if that's the case, what's the point in making all these? Because in my experience through my YouTube channel and later in my professional experience, I've been running my YouTube channel now for about 8 years, 7 or 8 years, not too sure. But I've also been working professionally for the best part of that time, really. I was playing around in Premiere Pro before I even started playing on YouTube, and it was the culmination of my playing on with video that made me open YouTube. I'm saying all this because this is stuff that I've developed over time, and I really think little bits like this will really help your workflow. So what do we have here? We have a series of empty folders with subfolders inside, all of this inside the folder template. So what I do is I create all these. So first it's animations, which again is empty, but in here, if I ever have an After Effects project that I'm working on within a project, it will be saved in here. In audio, there's 2 types of audio that I use. You could actually add SFX in here as well. That's a nice little addition for me, so I will use that as well, because quite often we add sound effects to almost paint with audio. I'll cover that a little bit later on. So in here we have music, SFX, and spoken. So obviously music will be any kind of music that we use in the project, SFX will be sound effects, and spoken will be anything spoken in there, whether it be 1 person, 2 people, or anything. Now if the audio in the video is the audio that you're using, if it was recorded within the video file, this will be empty, but if the audio is coming from external sources, that would go into here. Moving down, we have images. I use images all the time in my projects, and this is something that I quite often add in here later on, and that's because the images are created within Premiere Pro. I was thinking about sending some images for you to use. However, you're going to create, in this course, you're going to create the images that you actually then use. More of that when it comes up. Renders will be the final renders. In fact, this is something I've meant to do for ages, and that is to actually add Z to the end of there as well, because I want renders right at the end. Renders are the exports from your videos. When you make anything in Lightroom or Lightroom Classic or Photoshop, what you're doing is you're exporting, and they're typically known as image exports or image renders. In video, again, we export the footage. If you go to File, and I always use a shortcut, we'll be covering shortcuts soon, you export and you export the media. However, in the industry, they're known as renders, because you've rendered it out. Imagine if you put loads of stuff into a stock pot and you're rendering all that down under heat and simmering to bake in all that goodness. That's what this is doing. You're rendering all the elements within the timeline to create the video. So that's where all my renders go. Script, if there's any script for the video, I script pretty much all of my YouTube videos, so that goes in there. If I'm doing a corporate piece of work, script will go in there along with any kind of work document. And video, I've broken this up into two main that I use, and that is B-roll and 2cam. 2cam is also known as A-roll, but I don't really call it A-roll. In fact, I don't know anyone who does call it A-roll. I don't know what they call it, but B-roll is everything. B-roll is anything that isn't spoken in, and 2cam or A-roll is a talking head, anyone talking in an actual frame. So those are my two. I could deep down and put A73 and A6300. Those are my two main cameras at the moment. Depending on how quickly I change and how quickly more cameras come out, that may date this course. But also B-roll, I could have that with the two cameras as well. So there's my folder template. And all I do is when I'm starting a new project, I will go into my folder template, select them all, Control and C to copy, and then I will go over to where I'm looking to build. This would actually be done obviously before what we've already done, but I would just copy into here. I'm going to remove this because obviously we already have footage in, and if I move that into here, it will get lost. In fact, you know what, let's do that, because this may be a common problem that you come up with. So that footage in here, let's find it. If I right click any of them and go to Reveal in Explorer, that will show me where that footage is saved, and it's actually within the footage videos portion inside here. But we've now added these folders, and I want to move this into here. Let's see what it does to Premiere Pro. So let's go into here, videos. This is all B-roll. So I'm going to select all of that and Control and X to move that out. Obviously you don't need to do this if you don't want to. I just want to highlight something that I come across quite a lot. If I go into video and place it where it should be, which is the B-roll, Control and V. So I've cut and pasted it. I've moved that now. And if I now come into here, this can't find it. It can't find the footage. In fact, it can, because what Adobe has done, did you see where it came up here, locating media? All it's done is it's found where it is, because it's within the same nest, within the same folder nest. That's changed in Premiere Pro, because it used to be an absolute nightmare. Now, if I'd moved it out, it would have been a different story. Let me just check that that's empty. Let me get rid of that, and I'll show you what it would have done in the past, or what it would do to you if you move it to somewhere completely different. And what it would do is, let me offline that media, remain on disk. Yeah, you don't need to do that, but it can't find it, and it just wouldn't show anything. And see how it won't let me show anything. So what you do is you'd find one of the pieces. Let's just do one, and let's show you what it then does, because it uses what it did before to refine the stuff that had been moved. I'm only going to find this pizza oven one, and it will find the rest of it for me. I'm confident of that. Right click, and what you want to do is you want to link media. This may happen to you. It may happen when we're in here and you close down the project, open it up again. Maybe it's on an external hard drive, and then when you put that external hard drive back in, it's given it a different letter and everything goes crazy. So what you'll do is you right click and you go to link media. It may give you when you first open, it may actually already come up with this saying, we can't find these files, can you locate it? So what I've done is I'm going to highlight that one. If there's more, they'll be all listed down here, but you don't always have to find them all. You only have to find a few, and then a little tick button comes here. So we go to locate, and we're looking to find it now, and here it is. It's already taken me to where it thinks it's going to be, which is actually in Premiere Pro, video, B-roll. It's actually found it there, and it is pizza oven 1. Now all of these are unlinked at the moment. If I press OK, highlight on 1, reminding We're looking for the last path was video B-roll there. Path that I'm saying is video B-roll. Highlight that, press OK, and there it is. It's found everything. It's very clever, is Premiere Pro. So clever. So yeah, that's what I would do. I would create a full hierarchy of folders, and you bring everything in before you even start your project, so everything's with you, and then you just drag everything in. The one folder that wouldn't be here at the start is this. Remember the autosaves we were mentioning before? How many did we say they could save? I think it was 20. If we double click into here, we actually only have 2 autosave projects right now, and we have a copy of this, which is our project file. It's great to have your autosaves right next to there. You have no idea how many times autosaves have saved me. So once we've got our footage into here, what I want to do is I want to show you what I mentioned in the previous section, and that was something that happened that we need to change. And that is when we're here in our project window and we have the video, what is this? A bin. Remember, it's not a folder, it's a bin, even though it shows, I wish it showed a bin. That'd be great. But when we want to get into here, we do just like in Finder on a Mac or in Windows Explorer, we double click. But what it's done is it's opened another tab. So there's the tab we were in, double click to open in another tab. Now personally, I hate that, because let's say there's a new bin here and I double click that, it opens again bin, I haven't named it. And before long, you've got loads of stuff just going all the way along here. And that's not what we want. We're trying to make this a clean space. So we can change that in preferences. I'm going to close that panel, so we're back here. If you go to Edit, Preferences, and General, what we want to do is we want to change everything that we're changing comes as default. There are so many things that are default which are great in Premiere Pro. There are certain things that have hampered my workflow and I've had to change since starting to use Premiere Pro. And that's what I want to help you with, just to get that little bit further ahead at your starting point. So this is what we want to affect. Bins, double click. What does double click do? It currently defaults as open new tab. If you hold down Control and double click, it opens in place. So it just opens in here like the hierarchy in Windows Explorer or Finder. I have no idea why anyone would want to open a new tab when you can do the few things in here that I'll show you, which you can deep dive without leaving anywhere. You don't need a second and third and fourth bin open all the way along here, especially how we have this set up. If you had multiple monitors, that might be okay for you. I still think it's taking up screen real estate. I still think it's taking up screen real estate that you don't need it to. So if we drop this down and then we want to open in place, that's what we're changing for now, and press OK. What do we do next? That's right. Right click, save changes to this workspace. That's all we want to do. Now, I'm not entirely certain that changing the workspace would change that, but it's good to have. Don't forget also down here, sync settings now is always good. Some people sync their settings once a day. Some people do it once a week. I do it once a week. It's normally part of my Friday afternoon maintenance. I just sync the settings just in case anything's changed, whether I can remember anything changing or not. So now with this bin, when we double click, we open in place. You see nothing extra was built here. We don't need it. And there's our bin again. And then again, we're still in here. We're not going all the way along here. It can get really messy really quick. Let me just delete that bin. Don't forget also in this list view, that's what I was just referring to before, where you can easily deep dive everywhere. If there was more folders here, you could deep dive all the way down here without ever having to open another bin or another example of the bin. And don't forget, you can tilde to look at everything. That's remembered everything there. We didn't want that before. Did we save our settings before? Maybe we didn't. Let's get rid of these again. There we go. Much better. Okay, so what I want to touch on now is color coding. And that is affecting the color in which these videos will look, or the clips will look, when they're on your timeline. And that is as simple as highlighting the kind of video you want. Remember, if you're using this whole breakdown and you're in B-roll and to cam, you could say that was B-roll and that was to cam. You could twirl down B-roll and say, right, okay, all these videos, I want them a certain color, etc., etc. And you just right click, select the ones that you want to change, right click and go to label and say which color you want them to be. You can change the names of these as well in preferences. If we go to edit, preferences and labels, you could actually change what these colors say they are. So Caribbean is just like, it's not green because we already have green at the bottom, so we say maybe light green. Because a cerulean, I don't know cerulean, I'm probably not even saying that right, but I'd say that it's actually sky blue. And if we go OK and we go back here and we go to label, we now have sky blue rather than cerulean, and light green instead of Caribbean, just so you've got a better indication of what it would be. What I would love to see is that Adobe put the actual color to the side as well to give you an idea. I'm not going to change these colors right now because I don't want them to look different in here for when you're working on your project.